Hey everybody, hope you are well and stayed warm. We've had some very chilly weather in the last few days. I got a lot of ice at my house, so please walk carefully as well. I am back in Hartford again today. I'm looking forward to a Thursday when I can do this even from my car. I haven't done it from my car for a while because I've been here a lot. So I wanted to, start off first with Martin Luther King Jr., whose holiday was on Monday, and that beautiful snowy weekend we had, which featured building a snowman in my house, which brought a little joy and optimism to our house. But reflecting on his legacy in a lot of ways, but one of which was his continued optimism in the face of some pretty horrific events, is a really important mindset and energy to bring to where we are today, and basically to trying to make good policy. And I'm thinking about that a lot, how he persevered with that mindset, and really reminds us all of, the importance of having a purpose, and feeling motivated by that purpose to make things better. So that's very much front of mind for me as we get closer and closer to session beginning. I am also in the midst of still having a lot of those short meetings, but trying to create space now to have to integrate those short meetings into policy, which means balancing a lot of different interests. So I wanted to give one example of that. I had my vice chair had organize an event on tobacco, and particularly on addiction, tobacco and nicotine addiction amongst young people. And we had a lot of young people in talking about that, who are advocates against that and who are concerned about their peers becoming addicted. And I had a conversation with a friend and another legislator at the end of it about who feels pretty strongly about the sort of libertarian perspective. In other words, not letting adults make their own choices about what they want to do, as opposed to having the state tell them what to do. And he feels very strongly about that. And so we had a conversation about there's no clean solution to most anything we do. It's a balancing of interests. And so, for example, if you had a flavored vape, a particular flavor that you had evidence that, 80% of it was bringing, new young smokers, creating younger, new addicted smokers, and a smaller percentage of it was actually helping some adults, stop smoking tobacco and maybe stepping back from a more lethal product. What does that mean? Because there's almost never a clean dividing line that accomplishes both. You have to balance them, and you have to understand what the interests are and how the things break down. And that also means sometimes you get it wrong because these numbers don't come in as cleanly as you hope they will in terms of understanding the impacts. And so you make your best guess, and then you have to not get too caught up in that and go back and fix it. I had a conversation this morning with the Torrington Area Health Department, had a breakfast meeting, and we talked about particular policy, which we assume was well-intentioned, about limiting release of water quality tests to new home buyers. There's a little bit of head scratcher as to what the policy was behind that, but nonetheless, we did do that a few years ago, and how clearly it is not working in any way that serves public policy today, and what we can do about changing that. And so it is, trying to make your best decision in the moment and balancing those interests. It shouldn't keep you from doing anything, but to understand, to keep an open mindset, to look at the facts, and change it if you need to. And that goes to the point of also not coming into things and quickly prejudging a matter because maybe it aligns with some set of principles that you hold dear, but to take a step back and keep that investigative. I think of it as an investigative mindset because I used to do that. To me, of course, the counterexample is watching the federal government prejudge an investigation into what clearly is a chargeable, not necessarily a convictable, but chargeable offense against the ICE officer who shot Renee Good. And rather than keeping that open mindset, which again doesn't prejudge it, just investigates it and gives people a sense of trust in government and that we will listen to you and do our best and come back and change it if we need to, instead leaping to a conclusion that that makes it almost impossible to have a fair, or at least to have confidence in whatever the outcome is. So trying to keep that front of mind as we crack into all that. We have later today, we have our the House Democrats have their issues caucus, which means we all meet as a caucus off-site and talk about what's important to us and try to figure out where our priorities lie as a caucus. And so that'll be interesting to hear my colleagues, some of which I agree with and some of which I don't. So I do think it's always really valuable to be able to sit down with each other and listen to what we're trying to accomplish. So I hope you are thinking about what you might accomplish. And maybe I will see you out there this weekend, and take care and stay warm.